What's up, everybody? Ron Harris here with the channel Ron Harris Muscle. It's another Ron Line Report. So late last night, Tyler Manion released a video on the NPC News Online YouTube channel and also on his Instagram, T_Manion. Mr. Olympia Open Recap. 2024 IFBB Pro League Mr. Olympia Open Recap by Tyler. This is something Tyler does usually right after every show. This time, clearly, there was a little backup, took a couple days, but the link to the full video is going to be in the description. But I want to go through it pose by pose, as Tyler called it, and then just give my take. Do I agree with Tyler on everything? And I certainly welcome you guys in the comments below. Do you agree with Tyler? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know what you think. Who won what poses? Who do you think deserved to win? I do urge you to watch the full video because he does cover the entire top six and give very detailed critiques of each competitor. And this is something that in the past would never have happened. Judges judged, they made their decisions. You never heard any explanation, nothing. You just had to either accept the decision, not accept it, but they never explained it. Tyler has done a really good job of doing that since he became IFBB Pro League Vice President a few years back. So he was one of the judges at the Mr. Olympia. Let's hear what he had to say first about two gentlemen here, Hadi Choopan and Samson Dauda, in the front double bicep.
Is the front double bicep pose. Samson and Hadi both have very, very strong front double bicep poses. For me, Samson's front double has improved show to show and year over year. His arms have come up considerably, both the biceps and the triceps. His whole inner arm is very good now, in my opinion. As you see, he has nice V taper going into a nice small waist. His waist control and ab control was very good at this show. Then you move into the lower body, and Samson obviously has some of the best legs and the best quads in the open division. Very good overall balance with this pose. The one thing I always said about Samson in this pose is, yes, could his lats be a little bit more dramatic? Could you have a little bit more of a taper? Yes, but I think that's increased dramatically. Now for Hadi also has a very good front double bicep, solid arms into a very pronounced V taper into a nice small waist. And then Hadi always has great legs from the front that are very conditioned. However, for me at this show, I feel like his legs overall, not just in this pose, but overall, were a little bit downsized. And even though the top to bottom is very good, I still think being downsized throws off that perfect balance just a little bit for him. And for that reason, even though Hadi's taper is a little bit more dramatic, I think the overall balance of the pose, all the body parts flowing together, for me, I give it to Samson to make it 1-0. Next up.
Okay, I'm actually going to disagree with him on this particular pose. Again, very close. It was a very close Olympia. I need to say that because just like last year between Derek Lunsford and Hadi, it was very close. Came down to the wire. None of us were sure who was going to win until that announcement was made. I would actually give the front double bicep to Hadi Choopan. I like his arms in that pose better. Just better bicep peaks, nice tricep drop, nice clean separation between the bis and the tris. I like that the way his lats pop out a little bit better. Samson looks a little long-waisted there. I do agree Samson has the superior lower body in this shot, and it's close. And I know Tyler's giving this one to Hadi. Tyler's giving this one to Samson. I'm going to give this one to Hadi. So that's one pose Tyler gives to Samson, and I'm disagreeing there. And you guys tell me what you think. Next up, front lat spread.
For me, this is Hadi's weakest pose. As you see here, his waist obviously looks wider in this pose compared to his front double bicep pose. You can see he still needs more thickness to the chest. Obviously, he has detailed chest, but he needs more thickness to the chest. And the overall roundness to his outer arms and shoulders is very good. But when you compare it to someone like Samson, you see the difference here. Again, with the legs, good conditioned quads from the front, but a little bit downsized for me. Now you go to Samson. Samson has very, very round and thick and full outer arms and shoulders. His chest is extremely thick. You see striation and detail in his chest. This pose, in the past couple of shows, you could see he was having a little problem with his midsection. It would be a little bit distended. Here, both Friday and Saturday, it was not at all. The way he hits this pose, very, very dramatic V-taper. He really gets his lats out very well here. And again, you go down into the lower body. The quads are crazy full. We saw clear separation this time. The balance from the top to bottom makes this one of his strongest poses, in my opinion. So obviously, being one of Hadi's weaker poses to Samson's arguably strongest, I think this was a clear shot for Samson to make it 2 poses to 0.
Okay, I'm actually agreeing with him on this pose. I give the front lat spread to Samson for sure. It's a strong pose for Hadi in some ways. In other ways, I agree with Tyler. It does make his waist look a little blocky. Samson is just so wide, so enormous across the shoulders there. It's crazy. You can't take your eyes off him in a shot like this. This is a shot where his height and his width just really plays to his advantage, similar to the way Andrew Jack does in that pose. But this is a case of a good big man beating a good smaller man in this shot. So total agreement with Tyler on this particular pose. Next
the side chest pose. So when we look at Hadi, again, one of his weaknesses, I would say, if he has one, is he needed more size to his legs from the side. Even at his best, which in my opinion was the Arnold Classic this year, the Arnold Classic US, you could still see he could still use a little bit more of that thickness to the side leg. So here the legs were down a little bit, and even really his overall conditioning, which is Hadi's trademark, is the striations through his chest and obviously the very, very detailed midsection. For me, we saw that Hadi's chest was not as detailed this time around, both on Friday and on Saturday. He just was lacking that trademark skinless striation chest, and he needs that because his chest is on the flatter side. Now, again, shoulders and arms were solid. The whole pose is still a very solid pose, but he was going up against an all-time best Samson. It's not the front lat spread, it's the side chest for Samson's strongest pose. Arms and shoulders, very full, very big, very round. Chest, extremely full. Also seeing detail and striation through it. Midsection, flat and in check. Side leg, very dramatic. Quad to hamstring balance, hamstring drop. We see the lines in it. We see the separation. This pose shows off the overall muscularity of Samson and really is a pose where I think you see the massive size difference between these two competitors. So for me, another clear pose for Samson.
Okay. Total agreement this time again with Tyler. Samson has such a crazy round full chest. Hadi's chest, it looks great in some shots, like his front shots, his most muscular particular. That's a crazy pose for him in the chest. But you could see Samson's chest is so much rounder, thicker, and fuller, especially top to bottom. Hadi doesn't have a great upper chest compared to Samson. I actually don't see such a disparity between the side legs as Tyler does. I do see a little bit of an edge on Samson. It's not much. I give this pose to Samson more so on the upper body with the superior chest development. It is a side chest pose. Huge shoulders. They both have great shoulders and arms. So it's close, but on this one, I'm going to go with Samson. Let's go to some back shots.
Next up is the back double bicep pose. And surprisingly, Samson brought this pose up a lot. You see from the back, he has crazy hamstrings. They were separated. They were detailed. Samson's probably someone that's never going to get crazy separated glutes, but you still see the condition that he was in, even with the glutes here. The back of his arms and shoulders improved a lot. We see the bicep peak. We see all the detail and separation in his arms. His shoulders are the best they ever looked. Moving into, which was once his weakest body part, his back, he improved the taper and dramatically improved the depth and thickness of his back. So again, top to bottom balance, very, very good for him. Now here for Hadi, I think this is where we saw that it wasn't Hadi in his normal self, because normally his back double bicep is very strong. It was probably his most improved pose from last year's Olympia to the Arnold. So it was a little bit surprising to see that from the back here, we didn't see the same as we saw in Samson, the roundness and the separation and the fullness with the shoulders and the arms. And then the back itself, he was actually a little bit soft. So we didn't see that separated, grainy, dense, hard look, which he's always harder from the front than he is from the back. But this time, we can notice a softness in this back double bicep pose. Go down into the lower body. Obviously, he was in shape, but his leg width and his hamstring detail definitely could have been better. We've seen it better before, and this was a pose where we saw that Hadi, I don't think, was at 100% of his best. So, very surprisingly to me, I ended up giving this pose to Samson, 4 poses to 0.
Total agreement again. Guys, I have no skin in this game. I'm a Samson fan. I'm also a Hadi fan. I respect the hell out of both guys. Hadi's back was better at the Arnold earlier this season, a little more detailed, sharper. Samson still doesn't have the greatest condition overall. We all know that. But look at the difference in just the width, the dramatic sweep, the V-taper of this guy's back, Samson. And again, it doesn't matter how much they've improved from past shows. It only matters how you look relative to the person standing next to you. So in this case, though, I got to give Samson that rear double bicep shot. It's just a very dramatic, impressive shot. Hadi still looks great. Don't get me wrong. But Samson just blows you away in this shot. And again, for a guy that this was his weakest pose a few years ago, that's a rarity to see back shots go from weak poses to strong poses. Samson has done that. Okay, let's go to rear lat.
Lat spread pose. So the back lat spread is one of Hadi's strongest poses. Even though his back looked softer than normal in his back double bicep, the amount of thickness that he really carries in his back shines through even when he's not at his best in this pose. Very, very wide lats, very thick. We still saw the detail in the lines in the back here. Again, the lower body has been better, but it was in shape. We could see the hamstrings. The leg width was solid. I think this was one of Hadi's strongest poses on the day. Now for Samson, again, lower body is in, very big, separated, look great. The back itself actually improved a lot. I thought he was very comparable with not only Hadi, but also Derek as well in this pose. Even when he was hitting this pose, to me, I still feel like he could pull those lats out just a little bit more. It's the best he ever hit the pose. It's the best his back ever looked, but it still feels like there's something more there, that he could give himself more of that width in that illusion. But as you can see, we saw the separation and we see the thickness and the depth to his back. This pose has improved tremendously for him, but with how strong it still was for Hadi, I gave this pose to Hadi to make it 4 poses to 1.
Okay, this time I disagree. Yes, Hadi Choopan's back has better development from top to bottom. He's got better thickness in that lower lat, the lumbar spine area, the spinal erectors for sure. In that sense, it's a better back. However, look at the difference in the width and just the just massive back rugged development that Samson has. And again, the lower body is a factor in this too. I think Samson's lower body balances out the upper better in this shot than Hadi Choopan's does. So this time, this particular shot, I do disagree. I would give the rear lat spread to Samson Dauda, even though it's close, and Hadi does have a really good rear lat spread. And again, I agree. I see the difference in the development from top to bottom. That's not the end-all, be-all of a back shot. So for me, I think it's very close, but I give the slight edge to Samson this one. So we only have a couple more shots. Let's go.
Back lat spread pose. So the back lat spread is the abdominal and thigh pose. Now, Samson looked great this year in his ab and thigh. Again, like I said, he was having some trouble controlling the midsection at previous shows. Here he was not. The midsection was dialed in. The abs were clear. The lines were deep. He has great quads. Overall, he has very nice V-taper flowing into that nice tight waist here. So from the top of his hands all the way down, very balanced, very strong overall pose. However, he's going against Hadi, whose ab and thigh pose is, the best in the IFBB Pro League. Hadi's still very strong, all the detail through his midsection, great taper, quads are still conditioned, they're still there. For this pose, for me, Hadi still has a nice overall balance because in this pose, you're not expanding the lats all the way out, right? So it doesn't really look like any imbalance. Still just such a super strong pose for him that even though Samson improved this pose tremendously, you can still see a little bit of the size difference for him as well. I give this pose to Hadi to make it 4 poses to 3. Then,
yeah, ab and thigh shot. Hadi Choopan owns this pose as far as I'm concerned. I don't think anybody in the IFBB Pro League comes close to him in this shot. It's even though Samson's thigh development is better here, Hadi is starting to lose a little bit on that right quad that's left on your screen. Abdominals are shallow compared to Hadi's. Hadi's got that crazy serratus, detail, the nice thick brick abs. It's a beautiful shot for Hadi. Nobody's beating him. So I went out of order a little bit, guys. So I'm going to back up. Next up is side tricep.
Is the side tricep pose. So Samson in the side tricep pose, I think, was just doing himself a little bit of a disservice with his leg placement. He has crazy legs from the side. You want to show that size with the same placement that he has in the side chest. When you place your legs this way, you really take away that hamstring and the hamstring drop when you have it the way he does. Now, I don't know the reason, but I would think the reason he did this is because flexibility-wise, it was really hard for him to keep his upper body upright before, to really be able to extend the tricep and also keep his midsection flat, and we saw the abs. So upper body-wise, I thought his positioning was great for this pose, but lower body-wise, it was not. Then also, obviously, we posed these guys a lot of times, and he wasn't even always able to get into this pose the best way possible. Sometimes his upper body still wasn't upright. He was still leaning a little bit forward. And really, when he was doing that, lose detail, lose size, lose fullness. Now, for Hadi, the side tricep is always a very strong pose for Hadi. Why? Because we see all the detail in his midsection. His chest is still striated. Not as much as normal, but we still see the detail there. The side leg shows off the conditioning. And for him, it's still very balanced upper and lower body here. I think because of the detail that was shown in this pose, Samson kind of taking away some of the detail and fullness, which would be his advantage here, I gave this pose to Hadi to make it 4 poses to 2.
Yeah, I give that one to Hadi. And the unfortunate fact of the matter is, if Samson hit that pose better, I think I'd probably be able to give it to Samson. I don't like the way he hits that. He doesn't twist the torso to the degree that Hadi does. He's sort of leaning back, and the one leg in front of the other instead of the legs pressed together. That was a variation that fellow Brit, Dorian Yates, used to do. It looked great on him. I don't think it's the best option for Samson. I don't know exactly. It's a structural thing, but I feel like if Samson could hit that shot exactly the way you see Hadi hitting it, he does have those massive triceps. His waist is small. If he could master that pose, it would be a winning shot. But I give this one to Hadi Choopan. I totally agree with Tyler. So we got one last mandatory pose, and that is the most muscular. Here we go.
Would be, your favorite most muscular pose. Both hitting basically the same pose, except Hadi hits his most muscular with his knuckles together. Samson grabs the wrist. Now, again, here, I think it was a pose that surprised me because normally Hadi is very, very tough to beat in this pose because of the detail through his chest, because of the detail in the midsection. Basically a lot of his strengths are on display in this pose. The way he hits it, he's still able to be super wide as well from shoulder to shoulder and have that muscularity displaying in the outer arms, the shoulders. But Samson finally nailed his conditioning. Was he the hardest guy on stage? No, but again, the chest is bursting full. We're still seeing striations. The size and the roundness of the shoulders and the arms. We see the detail and still the separation to his abs. Plus, with his lower body and being as big and separated as it was. It's the most muscular pose for a reason, and this displayed how big Samson truly was at this show. You see the size difference between both of these guys. For me, even with Hadi having a little bit extra detail, Samson had much more size and still good detail. Made me give Samson this pose 5 poses to 3. So as you can see.
Yeah, I was so torn, guys, with that one. I kept changing my mind. Give it to Hadi, give it to Samson. We don't have a picture. Yeah, that crab that you see there in the picture that was from Who is the Best Bodybuilder Instagram page. That's the version of the most muscular where I feel Samson really dominated Hadi, and that's where he takes the shot. When they were both doing the hands clasped together, I was leaning more toward Hadi, but overall, Tyler makes a good point. It is called most muscular. Samson's got the most muscle up there. He's got great structure, great shape. Let's finally listen to Tyler's summary. He's got some closing words about why Samson won, because it's not, guys, about just who wins more poses. That's part of it. That's not everything.
So as you can see, there were some clear shots for each guy, but there was also some very, very close poses. I mean, the front double bicep, very close pose. The back lat spread, very close pose. The most muscular, very close pose. So as you see, the judges were very split on both Friday and Saturday. I think the difference for me was that Samson came back even better on Saturday night, which is also an improvement for him as well. He hasn't always done that, even at shows he's won before. He's kind of basically stayed the same most of the times that he did well. Some of the times he came back just a touch worse. This time he came back much, much better. Testament to Hadi as well. I think Hadi also came back better on Saturday night. But for me, going pose by pose, I think Samson was able to edge him out, on both nights. But two very, very great competitors. They both had amazing years. Hadi ended up beating him 2 times at the beginning of the year. Samson now figured it out and took home the Mr. Olympia title. And I can't wait to see these two guys, going toe-to-toe for the next couple of years.
Yeah. So guys, link is in the description for the full video. He does give full detailed critiques of Derek Lunsford, Martin Fitzwater, Andrew Jacked, and Hunter Labrada in there. So check that out. I tend to agree with Tyler because I still had Samson winning, but it was by a hair. Just like last year, Derek beat Hadi by a hair. It was incredibly close to Mr. Olympia. Personally, I feel that makes it so much more exciting, more dramatic. I know in the end, that also means there's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with the decision and the result. And that's what happened. A lot of people, especially the Hadi Choopan fans out there, God bless you guys. They felt Hadi was the rightful and deserving champion. You're entitled to your opinion. Just like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, bodybuilding is judged subjectively. It's opinion based. These judges that sit on the Mr. Olympia panel, they've been doing this for many, many years. They've been to hundreds, not thousands of contests at that judging table, looking up and critiquing these physiques. So they do know what they're doing. They do have extremely experienced eyes. So regardless of whether you agree with the decisions or not, you should respect the decisions. But drop some comments below, guys. I know some of you are not going to agree, and that's perfectly fine. I want to hear from you. If you feel that Hadi was the rightful winner, tell me why. Tell me what poses. Tell me what about his physique to you was superior to Samson Dauda's physique, why you feel he should have been Mr. Olympia, or if you have full agreement with the decision, why do you feel it was the right call, Samson Dauda being declared 2024 Mr. Olympia champion. That's it, guys. Hope you enjoy the video. I'm again congratulate Tyler Mannion for taking the time to make these very detailed explanations so that people can understand why the placings are the way that they are. And also he gives very helpful critiques, constructive criticism for all the competitors, because everybody's got room for improvement. And this is coming from a guy who's going to be sitting there judging them. So they would be very wise to listen to things he has to say and apply them and make the changes and adjustments and improve. So that's it, guys. Appreciate you all watching. Just like it says at the bottom there, please subscribe, like, share, ring that bell. Appreciate you watching. Have an awesome weekend, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.